Wait, that's better. Although it may seem hard to believe considering my track record, I do in fact enjoy FNAF games. Okay, sure, 3 or 4 of the videos I've recently uploaded have been negative, but I promise I really do enjoy this medium. I find the creativity and original ideas always captivating. I always love to see how the community progresses and innovate the formula. And well, I wanted to get to playing a new FNAF fan game recently too, but one that would satisfy my needs. You know, I have a little bit of higher standards than most people in this community do, not to be all pretentious, but I wanted a game that wouldn't leave a foul taste in my mouth, which is why after having moved into my new place and spending a day or two checking out what people were making videos on and spending a whole month not doing shit, I saw that about a month ago a fan game had been released in its final version and had really made a name for itself in the community, and lots and lots of videos were made on the topic, and so I decided to look. And by the title you can see that I took a liking to the game. And yeah, you know the script. Forgotten at Fredbears, directed by Jake Horn, was a fan game that had its development start all the way back in 2019 as a passion project to fulfill Jake Horn's 14-year-old self desire to create his own fan game, which you'd think would mean his game would have been in development for 6 years, but that's not quite the full story. The game, according to the wiki, had an inspiration on Fredbear and Friends Left to Rot, another fan game that I've covered here on the channel and heavily enjoyed, and also recommended to check out. The game was eventually cancelled, which is only natural considering, you know, Jake Horn was only 14 at the time. However, years later, on February 15, 2022, Forgotten at Fredbears was revived with a dedicated team, finally being fully released on January 16th, 2026. Was the wait worth it? Yes. Starting off, we get a cutscene of someone calling and talking to our good friend William Afton. This person on the phone happens to be us, John Hudson, who after being fired from his previous job is looking for a new workplace. And here he arrives at Fredbear's Family Diner, the location but for Freddy Fazbear. Information that you really should know already, let's be honest. William, with his usual res, makes our character feel less suspicious of how weird this job opportunity seems, as we then get a scene of Henry monologuing about how William was always a bit of a sneaky boy, that this isn't revenge but justice for his daughter. This is all then followed by a minigame that we play as Evan Afton at Fredbear's location, seeing his brother Michael and his friends bullying a young girl named Charlotte. They force her out and lock her outside. Evan follows her out back, only to see William come and kill her. In disbelief that his father would be capable of such a thing, he runs to Henry to tell him about it, the minigame then ending. Now, if this isn't obvious already, or you don't know basic FNAF lore, Charlotte Emily just happens to be the daughter of Henry Emily, and as the opening cutscene shows, I think we can assume he didn't take it very well. But finally, we get what we all came here for, the first night, which first I have to say, wow, this game looks like Fires J. I know that I usually bring back that fan game to shit on, which, yes sir, I'm doing it again. Fuck that game. But this game really does play out like it. The very nice looking environments, similar movement style, the cinematic cutscenes and storytelling, they just kind of look similar. Except that this fan game is good. Anyways, in usual form to literally every other fan game I've played, we are given a phone guy. Or 2 phone guys, Joe M and Joe A, who give us some interesting lore, telling us that Henry has, for a big portion of time, been working on something in the diner's basement, and also that they had been caught, which caused them to be put on the day shift. Keep this in mind, this is important. They also give us some basic info on the 2 animatronics we have to meet on night 1, those being Spring Bonnie and the puppet. Spring Bonnie works as your very usual foundational pressure enemies who teach you the very basic loop of the game, and of using the cameras, keeping a track of where everyone is, learning the map layout and what leads to what. He walks mostly along the front stage, the dining room, the back rooms, and then towards the left hall, where he'll then try to barge in through your door. Whenever this happens, you'll want to cancel that by getting up and shutting the door back closed, by getting as close as possible to the green on this little QuickTime event, and doing your best to avoid hitting the red, as that automatically results in death. The puppet works in a pretty much the same fashion as Springtrap does in FNAF 3. The only difference is that her starting position has 3 phases before she truly activates and starts moving around the diner. And since she's like Springtrap, you know, audio cue, she'll move there, if she moves away, move her back there. Simple. Both of these challenges work in a surprisingly nice fashion. They're very simple, don't get me wrong, but they're very polished. I don't know how else I could explain this. It's a very weird feeling I had while playing this first night. It felt oddly nice and satisfying. In usual FNAF fashion, we have a 6 AM cycle, except that we go from 11 PM to 3 AM, each hour being equivalent to 1 real-life minute, which, holy shit, this is so much nicer and easier to record. Call me lazy, but I am glad the nights don't take forever. However, before we move on, something of note was this note that I found. While it may seem a little unimportant right now, I do ask that you remember this specifically for a reason that we'll get into a lot later into the game. Anyway, after beating the night and an interesting change of pace from all other FNAF games I've played out there, Instead of being thrown right into the next night, or a cutscene, or even a minigame, we are instead giving an option screen to either continue the shift, go back to the menu, or exit the game. Crazy. I know this may not seem like a lot, but any form of life quality like this I appreciate. Something that, despite how simple it is, I'm fucking surprised no one else has done it. Anyways, after night 1, the actual thing we're put into is a bit of a minigame, in similar fashion to how a Bite of Freddy's does it. In this minigame we have to repair the vents, by completing 4 different tasks, those being the symbols matching 1, a memory game, typing, and this weird to explain one where you have to fill up both bars to match this exactly highlighted area on both. All this while by being attacked by 2 animatronics, those being Balloon Boy, who slowly comes down the vents, the player needing to flash him to scare him away, and a previous version of Foxy known as Guess Who, coming down only this vent. Unlike Balloon Boy, who comes down 3. To stop him, you'll have to shut down the vent until you hear that he has gone away. While the minigame itself is fairly simple, again, it's the variety and change of pace that I appreciate. And I found that it helped keep myself a little bit more engaged with the game. And also it made it easier to get most of the footage in one go. Nevertheless, the section isn't too difficult, it's just fun. It helps keep the player refreshed for the early stages of the game as the difficulty slowly increases. Having beat the night, we're given another cutscene wherein we find out that Henry has made William take over the night shift. After having found out the 2 Joes sneaking around in the basement, which William then hired us to cover for. Henry of course knows about this and will continue to seek his justice. Night 2 brings us about some fun changes, as Joe M puts it. Our friend from yesterday joined us for the night, as Balloon Boy becomes another active threat. He works in a very simple manner. While you see him on the cameras, it's very important to ignore him. It legitimately does not matter, because at the end the only thing that matters is hearing his sound cue and clicking on his head once he shows up at your office, because if you don't, you'll die. Besides that, that's all there is to the night. Awesome. The phone guy does mention that Henry hasn't really shown up. Both of them just kind of assuming that this is because he's getting, he's focused on getting his new restaurant open, getting Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and the animatronics ready for it all. The minigame of Night 2 is very similar if you have ever played Help Wanted, because we have to fix up Fredbear. First by changing his eyes, getting his wire set up, doing some diagnostics, dying a few times, and then finally finishing the minigame. Again, it's fun. I'll do a little on the nose where the inspiration came from. It's still a pretty fresh experience. I liked it. It was fun to do. Getting into the next cutscene, we're again put into our normal style of an Atari-ish looking minigame, where we see Evan crying in the room, in a one-to-one copy from the original scene of FNAF 4. However, as we know in this game, Evan knows what his father did, and is the cause for him to be crying. He talks with his plushie before William barges into the room to ask if everything is fine. Evan plays it off. Obviously, I don't think anyone would confront their own father after seeing them mark a child. But anyway, Evan is told by the Fredbear plushie that they need to do something, and that they have to stop him, as only Night 3, the phone guy starts off by letting us know of our new challenge, Foxy, which to counter him whenever he's in his attacking pose or whatever this is, you'll want to close his curtains. Otherwise, well, But do watch out, because if you keep the curtains closed for too long, he will attack you also. This isn't really an issue now, but it does bite you in the ass a lot once it's later into the night and you have a lot of multitasking to do. Another thing to know, however, is about this phone call is that Joe A mentions an interesting thing about Henry having been working on something capable of letting one be in control of the animatronics remotely, and that he found this out the day before Fredbear starting acting off. Joe M snaps, telling him to do his job so we don't end up as the others. Finally, the call ends as we're then back into the night. As I mentioned, the difficulty really starts to pick up tonight. Enough to kill me? Well, no, the game is still on the simpler side of things right now, and overall if you have a basic of understanding of the formula so far, then well, all things considered, you'll be fine. Foxy is a spanner of the works, but one that can be relatively easy to deal with, so we beat the night. Surprisingly enough, the minigame, despite the overall idea not being crazy, I think it's implemented in, just very nicely, and it just feels nice to play. The main concept is simple. Joe M is telling you how to put some things in the closet and to follow those instructions, all while you have a noise meter, which doesn't work as interesting as I thought it would, but hey, none of us are perfect. All while Fredbear and Spring Bonnie are coming to you. Fredbear being countered by turning off the light and not moving it a single inch, and Spring Bonnie by blasting his eyes with her flashlight. And I'm not going to lie, it's fun, but again, it's like easy enough. It's not really difficult, so why did I die 2 times here? I couldn't tell you. Anyways, we get another animated cutscene where William first is telling us someone on the phone to take care of Joe A, before quickly going back to talking to his son and asking him what he wants for his chips choice. Evan seems very reluctant to go to his birthday party. William, though, convinces him. After all, it's only 4 days away. In Night 4, Joe M talks to us, first letting us know that we're no longer going to be dealing with Joe A, and secondly that tonight Fredbear arrives. And so in case he gets into your office, stare at him, and that maybe, just maybe, he might leave you alone. This is code for stare at his eyes and you'll neutralize him. I often don't compliment voice actors in this game due to the fact that a majority of them are amateurs. They haven't quite mastered the craft. They're not professionals, all that. But the delivery of this line...
But if you stay still, if you keep looking right at him, he might just leave you alone.
It really got me. Great props to whoever voice acted this guy. I can't bother to look at the credits right now, fuck you. But, they're very nice delivery. As mentioned before, Fredbear is the newest and last Fred of the week. Looks at the camera. He looks in a similar fashion to how Bonnie works, except he won't walk along the set path, but instead take a more random one, I guess. He could deviate here, or go here, before actually making his way to the office. Each movement he does, he seems to laugh, so I guess you could count if he sounds, but I don't know, I never found it that useful, just kind of like, ooh, scary. My cup. Whenever he does show up, however, as the phone guy mentioned, stare him down and don't move. And I mean it. Stare him down. Even if you're off by a little, he'll kill you. Despite night 3 being the first night where a noticeable increase of difficulty is taken, night 4 is where that difficulty curve will finally get to a point where the game is a genuine danger. Because of one specific problem. And that's Balloon Boy, who sure likes to combo off Spring Bonnie and Fredbear, because holy shit, that's the only way I kept dying. Not to say that there wasn't, the managing of the puppet and Foxy, because yes, there was. And it was them that caused me to be on high alert and end up doing these mistakes. But Balloon Boy was the fucker that kept killing me again and again. Night 4 was enjoyable, and honestly, so far, I don't have many complaints. But nonetheless, no FNAF game can stop me, and eventually I beat the night. As per usual, we have our post-night shift activities where we have to take care of holy fuck. Before that though, phone guy, and guess who? Joe A is back and stronger than ever. Turns out he's not dead or fired or whatever. I mean, I guess he is fired, but he's back and he's here to help us tonight. Give you some questions to ask the puppet so that we can uncover what is in the basement that Henry spends so much time in. And of course, what happened to Charlotte. However, this is all difficult to do so as the puppet's mind is completely spiraling and we need to make sure that she's kept in check by using this music box. All of this while we get attacked by Foxy, who will try to make his way up to you. Your only way of stopping him being that if we start to see him tweak out, using the spring lock system will make him kindly fuck off. Of course, the difficulty as per line of the week is pretty staggering. Of course, as the difficulty as per line of this weekday is pretty staggering, so now you're going to die, and that's good. I don't like when FNAF games are too easy. However, despite this, I don't believe the mechanical aspects of the part are the focus per se, as our focus lies within the puppet and our questions. The whole section kind of reminds me of the salvage section in the Pizzeria Simulator, except way funner and interesting. Also, we get to hear our speaker character, which
What did Henry tell you to protect?
To summarize the important information that the puppet gives to us, Charlotte was killed by Afton and possesses the puppet. She is losing herself, doesn't know what she is anymore, and finally gives us the key to the basement as the section finally comes to an end. Surprisingly to some, not me, because I'm cool like that, the phone guy does not call us in the last night. The only person that talks to us this night is the puppet asking us to save them. Night 5 is the pinnacle of difficulty for our traditional night setup. Every animatronic will be going balls to the walls to try and kill you. But if you already did well on night 4, you'll probably do well here again. The pacing is increased for sure, but again, your only lose condition is if Balloon Boy comes down with either Spring Bonnie or Fredbear. Otherwise, it's simple enough. But surely this game wouldn't end on a low note, and you'd be right. As we beat night 5, we are brought down to a basement where we're presented to the actual final challenge of the night. Using the key the puppet gave us to enter the basement that Henry has been all throughout been working on, and we see what his little project has been, the animatronics of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza as earlier mentioned. And wow, this is a lot of fucking notes. Despite the amount of information likely to overwhelming you, it is way simpler than it looks. The section is divided into 5 different modes. One where you're in the main central area, defending against all 4 animatronics of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy by hiding under the desk, and by using the computer to input some code to deactivate them. This code being received by going to each individual animatronics area to neutralize them with set of 4 different set of puzzles. Bonnie and Freddy work in similar manner to their yellow counterparts, blast a flashlight into Bonnie's face, and stay still while looking at Freddy. Chica and Foxy, however, work in different manners. In Chica's, you'll have to shut down the door before she can come in and kill you, and for Foxy, you need to close down the curtains after you're no longer able to keep turning the turny thing. It's also worth mentioning that while you're in each animatronics area, you kind of don't need to worry about the rest for some reason, which I don't get. I think the game would have been made more fun and way harder if all of them were attacking you and you needed to slowly keep a track of every single one. But that perhaps would have been too experimental and difficult. With the deactivation of each animatronics, we get some extra monologue from Henry talking about William, his daughter, and the whole getting revenge thing. You can't forgive William, he refuses to. After beating the night, we're brought back into another FNAF 4 minigame in an all too familiar scene. Eventually, Henry calling over William to have a talk. This leaves Evan totally by himself. Meanwhile, Henry interrogates William, demanding to know why he did it. William explains that he felt jealous over how perfect Henry's life was, how all the attention was always over to him over the diner, and everything went to Henry. Meanwhile, his wife left him, Michael hated him, and Evan feared him. And well, we know what happened to his daughter. In his mind, he had to do this. He continued to monologue. Evan begins to scream for help. Williams hears this and sees the sight of Michael forcing Evan's head into Fredbear's mouth. He tries to run to stop it, but just as he's about to get there, Henry activates the device that turns on all the spring locks near the radius, just like we used against Foxy, killing both William and Evan. The final scene being the same box we saw in FNAF 4, with the bad ending. You've got to be fucking kidding me. If you know me already, you know that I have a hate-hate relationship with these bad ending and good ending stuff. A lot of the time it feels like the time warranted for this isn't worth it for a simple change of a final cutscene, that a majority of the time just is a JPEG at the end of it. So how does this do it? Well, okay. Again, it's like the same thing. It's the change of end screen, no extra content. If you remember earlier, we had gotten a piece of paper on the first night. That right there is one of 6 pages we need to achieve the good ending. All the other pieces being on the post-night sections of the night. If we collect them, we get to open the crate where we see our Fredbear plushie. Doing so lets us hear a recording left by Evan's brother, Michael. As he explains to us, he only wanted to help, become less afraid, and didn't mean for this to happen. He promised us he will put us back together and will find his father to help him, and doesn't care what it takes, asking Evan to please not leave him. Alright. That was a mouthful. But in usual fashion in these videos, it's time to nitpick every single detail and talk shit like there is no tomorrow. The gameplay loop was fun, the immersion was fine enough, it kept me hooked all the way through, which is better than some other fan games can say. It did fine enough, it was fun, it was nice. It's not perfect, and there's a small reason for why. It's just a pretty good FNAF game, which may get you to wonder what I mean. And to be honest, it's hard to explain, but it's really just another FNAF game. There's nothing that puts it apart from the others, if you get what I mean. But relying on the usual cast of characters and locations, you're left with a gigantic problem of just looking like the others and not really being anything special. It's just a pretty fun FNAF game. It's not the most unique looking, it's not the most pretty looking, it's not the hardest or the funnest, or even the most grotesque, it's just above average on everything. To some, that's enough, and yeah, for me it was also, I needed a game like this. Not every game right there is striving to be the next Fredbear and Friends Left to Rot, or the next Return to Bloody Nights, but I don't know. I just feel like the potential here is so immense. This isn't the same case as it was with FNAF Showtime. No, this is a very solidly good fan game, great even, but it's the sort of thing where a game plays it a little safe just to be a 7 out of 10 instead of taking risks and really taking their claim to glory. I also had a lot of issues with, the writing and story. I don't get some of the decisions that were made. I believe this team had the potential to make something incredible, but as it stands, this is just another FNAF fan game with some FNAF 4-esque minigames taking place at Fredbear Family Diner, with mostly the same extra content we've seen, and of course the usual cherry on top of a bloody springlock scene. The nights itself were fun. It left some to be desired. The nights I still didn't die besides anything but Balloon Boy teaming up with Fredbear Spring Bonnie. I'm just saying, if the only way you can die is just that it so happens that 3 of these 2 have to attack at the same time, then it's not the most balanced game system. The story is generic. Sure, the twist of Henry being the culprit for Evan is great, but at that point, I don't get it. At that point, I would have liked to see Henry and William be more morally gray. The old schmick of a William bad guy, Henry good guy is tiring. This took a step in the right direction, but that's about it. Because besides that, we don't get much else. Henry just does something bad at the end for no apparent reason besides me kill William. It seems so out of character from everything we've seen in the past, and William just, is William. The music ain't the best in the nights. I don't know, it's not very immersive. Am I being too blunt? Yeah, probably. I apologize if I am, but to calm any hostilities towards me, I look forward to what this team makes next. It's just that I have some small issues with what this game has. Again, as I said, the game is good, if not great. It's a solid 7 out of 10, and this is a great first project, and I look forward to what comes next. But there's something to be said. It's the most 7 out of 10 FNAF game I think I've ever played. I don't think it was bad, but I do think it left a little to be desired. I look forward to what comes next, and I'm very happy with the results. Just hope that the next takes a little bit more liberties and some experiments, and tries to be a little bit more experimental. In any case, I hope you all enjoyed and subscribe and leave some feedback. Fuck you. Anyways, I'll see you next time.